how this happened, because I swear the point of me doing these videos is to get the number of series I'm reading down. And last I counted, it was like 68, 69. It's 70 right now. That's fine. We feel fine about that, especially since I know in the next few months, a few series I'm reading. Like, I know this month alone, 2 series I'm actively reading, I'm caught up on, but the next book comes out this month. And I feel fine about that. I'm not stressed about it at all. Hello, hi. This is where I read series, in which I'm in the middle of the 70s somehow. And that's fine. Good news is, the one that I did start today, and I will talk about in a hot minute, is the second to last one. Is the penultimate. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Book in the series. And so after this, I'll just have one more. And I am kind of very obsessed with this series right now, so it will happen. It will happen soon, which is very exciting. Anyways, yeah, I read series. This one has a theme. Sometimes they have themes. Sometimes they don't. A lot of the times they don't. This one is themed, and it is queer books. Gay nails, pride nails. Ignore any bread dough on them. My bread dough is rising right now. That's what we're filming right now. There is a playlist. It'll be up above in the cards. Blah blah blah. Who cares about that? I want to talk to the book that I started today. And I accidentally read 25 pages in bed when I picked it up. I was like, I was gonna film another video today, and then I realized, one, the longer amount of time I give myself for these videos, the better. And two, the one that I wanted to start it with, is due to the library in like 5 to 6 days. And I usually take my time with this series. And that is the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. So, yeah, which is, every time I forget what the actual genre is called. I think it's Domni or something like that, which is Chinese novels about 2 men being together. Listen, not much has happened in their romance life, though there is a lot of heavily insinuated attraction between them. And also, in volume 3, which I read last month, it was my favorite of May. It was my favorite of May. That's how good it was. There was one part where we learned that both of their first kisses was each other, and one of them doesn't know that. Anyways, this is gonna be a fun time because it's a Chinese book. I'm gonna have a fun time trying to pronounce names. I am sorry if I get it wrong. It follows Wei Wuxian, who, book 3, we learn a lot more about his adolescence, but he had childhood where he was growing up to learn how to be a cultivator, demonic cultivator, basically guys who fight demons and ghosts and spooky shit. Right, that was like his goal in life, to do that. He was going to be pretty high up in one of the clans, and then there was an evil clan who was very domineering and controlling and abusive to everybody else. So all those clans bound together to defeat this other clan. And I believe it was called the Sunset or something like that. Fight or something like that. It's something like that is the name of what happened, right? And in book 3, we learn a lot, because a lot of his adolescence, he's just like a kid. He's like your typical like 16-year-old boy who is a class clown. But also he's very noticeable of people, what they're doing, what they're saying, how to get under people's skin, which comes into play with Lan Wangji, who is the love interest, another cultivator from another clan that is very silent and quiet, solitude, very particular about the rules, all this stuff, right? And Lan Wangji is like even more, he's like even more than everybody else in his clan, but they knew each other since adolescence, and Rajan managed to get under his skin a lot, but obviously we know that Lan Wangji has a crush on him. That's why he was getting under his skin. Anyways, so like we knew he was a funny child and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden he turns evil, right? During the fight against the other clan, they he somehow turns evil. We learn how that happens in book 3. It was very Anakin episode 3. I loved it. Right? And so it's like flashing back and forth between previous timeline. There's like 3 timelines. Okay, there's like the him pre the whole entire battle war whatnot, in which he used a lot of techniques that are frowned upon in dark arts esque, so then people were very scared of him. Post that, he's still dark arts. He's wearing black clothes all of a sudden. People are all scared of him because of the things he did in that war, which, let me tell you, it was very body horror in book 3. When you learn some of the shit he did, yeah, I understand why people are scared of him, okay? And so it's like, there was a little bit of time when he was still friendly with everybody, but eventually he went a little over the top with the dark arts, and so then everybody banded together against him, and he eventually died. And then the other timeline, the more current timeline, it's not exactly current, but I keep on calling it current timeline, is post his death by a good many years. There is the gay son who is like bastardized because he's gay of this family, and so he summons Wei Wuxian's spirit to inhabit his body so that he could get revenge on his family, and then Wei Wuxian can just do whatever he wants. He's possessing this body now, right? And that was essentially book 1. That whole possession aspect. He's still possessing this body. End of book 3, everyone else, because he was so powerful that his sword would not get removed from the sheath by anyone except for him. Like, and that's described as being like hella powerful, okay, right? And he pulled his sword out of his sheath. So now everybody goes, oh, this bitch is Wei Wuxian. And so they're trying to, there's like this whole thing where he's being framed for stuff. They think it's him. It is very much his style. It's a very, there's essentially a copycat killer, and they assume it's him because they just learned that he is out here alive. Right? But except Lan Wangji is kind of his alibi. They've been together most of this time. They've been very friendly. Lan Wangji very quickly clocked, no, that's Wei Wuxian. I know that bitch. And we do learn why in the 3rd book on how he was able to clock that was Wei Wuxian so fast. Essentially, his clan's whole thing, they have a really big thing about music, and there was one song that he made, and they were in dire situation, it's just the 2 of them, and so to make Wei Wuxian happy, he played that song for him, and that's the only person he's ever played this song for. That's the background for that. And so Wei Wuxian was like, that song, not knowing he was the only one who knew about that song, so he went, oh, the bitch is back. Anyways, right, so those are like the 2 timelines, and this one, from what I gathered, is going to be paralleling 2 things, which is them in the past, post the war, the first war, in which after Wei Wuxian went on the dark side, okay, in which Lan Wangji and Wei Wuxian do some stuff on this specific hill in this specific area, and now in the more current timeline, they are back having to do stuff on this hill and work together. Because he's being framed, and also because Lan Wangji was there for some of it, he is also being low-key suspected of some shit. So they gotta, like, clear his name, get off this very dangerous hill where there's a bunch of ghouls and people, and blah, blah, yeah, it's very dangerous, and figure out what's happening, save people's lives of what is happening, right, and escape in general. And so I think it's supposed to be paralleling. I accidentally read like 25 pages of the first chapter, which is like half of it. The chapters are generally very long. I think the first few are all 50 pages, and then the last 2 are like over 100. Okay. In this one, so you know, I just, after I go through and I read, all the character names and which one is from which clan and how they're connected, because that is a thing in the back of the book. There's like appendices. And they have all this information in the back, so I like to like skim that. Because sometimes there's spoilers, but I like to skim it just so I can remember. Because there's a lot of people's names that are very similar, and also some characters have like 3 names. Like Wei Wuxian has 3 names. I think Lan Wangji has 2 or 3. So it's kind of important, right? And so after I did that, and then I went and started reading the book, I was like, okay, so I'm already hooked. Cool. And it is the middle timeline of the 3 currently, in which people think he's being a little crazy, but he's trying to save some people, but he's also making enemies of some higher up clans while he's doing this. And Langwaji is just like, I'm worried about him. He keeps on wanting him to come to his clan's home base, the Cloud Recesses, I think is what it's called, because they can like basically do a detox of all the dark magic shit he's been doing, and he's all like, this is like a big deal. And so he keeps on going to his brother. He's like, I think we should, there's this guy, you know, we should bring him back, but he doesn't want to come back, so like that's an issue, but we should bring him back to our base because this is an issue, right? And so I think that's going to come into play with this one. Maybe his death is going to be in this one, because the timelines I think is pretty close to when he dies. In either, maybe we see the point that like the tipping point in this one that makes it so everybody decides to fight a war against him. They just got over a war, they're gonna go fight another one, right, against him. And then in the next one is probably, in my guess, gonna be the one where we get to see how he died in the first place, and that will be the final one. I'm close to the end. Anyways, I'm highly obsessed with this series right now. We love that for me. I'm gonna go read more of it. The one issue is it takes me a long time to read it, which is understandable. But I'm addicted. The end. I love these two. I love them so much. Sometimes they just make me scream into my phone because they're just so cute. And if they just get over themselves and kiss, they already did actually. But John doesn't know that. We don't need to talk about that. That was a whole thing in book 3 that killed me. Anyways, goodbye. I will talk to you when either I've made significant progress or in this book, or finished it, or have started a completely different book. That's also a possibility, knowing me. Okay, goodbye. I gotta actually go deal with the bread dough. See, this is why I started this video so early in the month, because it took me 10 days. 10 days. It is halfway through the month. This is why I also made this the last video of the month, because I knew myself with this book. The urge to immediately borrow the 5th and last book in the series and read it. That can be next month. Anyways, also because I kept on forgetting the name of the campaign. Previously it was the Sunshot campaign. I should remember. I knew it was Sun something because their flag had something to do with the sun, and I remembered that. No, it was Sunshot campaign. Most of the past stuff was post Sunshot campaign. And that stuff, it was a lot of the, especially the first couple chapters, was a lot of the stuff post that the main character trying to help out the like sick and elderly or very, very young from the group that were somewhat rightfully attacked in the Sunshot campaign, right? And then people viewing him as evil, blah, 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 and the aftermath of that. And then, here's why it took me so long. Second last chapter is half the book. And so, reading it, also, that is the chapter that drastically stops being the past timeline. It is the more current, still past, but more current timeline, right? And so, and it's not like there's a year or anything. It's just like suddenly they're in this cave that they were also in the previous chapter, but now it's later, and that was the before, right? And so it took my brain a second. And then also because that chapter is so long, it was like there's no end in sight. And this is one of those books where I have to, if I'm going to like sit down and read it, I need to like actively sit down and read it for a good amount of time to get into it. And then once I'm in it, I'm eating it up. That was me today. I read like almost half of it today. And so yeah, I didn't even finish that chapter until today, this morning, in bed. I did try to finish it last night before bed, but I was getting sleepy, so I went to bed. And then I finished it first thing this morning. I was gonna do it before I fed my dog, but then she got sick. And I had to rush her outside. So I finished it after that. And then I read the last chapter just now in bed, keeping an eye on her. And because also today's the day that she needs her heartworm meds and her tick/lice meds. And she has a sensitive tummy, clearly because she was already sick today. She did keep her breakfast down after that. And that was like multiple hours before I remembered to give her meds. So I gave her her meds, and now I'm keeping an eye on her. And so I was like, I might as well read this book in bed. And so that's why I was finally able to finish it, because I just had to sit there in place for multiple hours. I might as well read this book. But if I don't do that, it's harder for me to get into it, especially because a lot of the names are hard for me. So it takes a lot for me to get into it, but once I get into it, I get into it. And that was me with this one. The second half, the more I read today, kind of the best part. I'm gonna be honest. There was a secret revealed from pre-Sunshot campaign stuff that goes, oh, that explains so much about this stuff, why so many things happened, on why he is the villain of everyone's story. But now he's also not the villain of everyone's story, because somebody else has taken the place as the villain of everyone's story. And then imagine my surprise. The extent I thought this was gonna get, I did say at one point, I'm pretty sure in the intro, that they have kissed previously. But like, Wei John was blindfolded during that, so he doesn't know that it was Lan Wangji who kissed him. I love how they share all their first. So I thought, like, the most of what was gonna happen is in the 5th and final book, they finally admit that they like each other and they kiss. So imagine my surprise. He got Lan Wangji drunk, and whenever that happens, that's usually when the weird, slightly sexual stuff happens, the slightly romantic stuff. It's like when Lan Wangji, at one point when he was drunk, decided to start just randomly licking Wei Wuxian in one of the previous books and whatnot. And so I was like, okay, so like his plan was to like ask him questions about who they are, because at one point his kind of brother who hates him for reasons saw them being close and touchy-feely, and he went, friends don't do that. Fucking gay horse. Essentially that kind of, really, actually. And so now he's all like questioning everything, and he's like, oh my god, he doesn't want to talk about how we share a bed, and we cuddle a lot, and we hold on to each other a lot, and we stare into each other's eyes a lot, and we're emotional support for each other. And shortly before that scene where my kind of brother yelled at me, I was literally giving respects to his parents, in my head praying to his parents. I was calling this other man my husband. There's also this whole thing in the previous book. Wei Wuxian had this whole dream of them having a child together and living this happy life, right? And one of the 2 secrets that was dropped in this one, they're part of the other clan that was destroyed in the Sunshot campaign. Part of the crew that Wei Wuxian protected post the campaign was a toddler that he's really close with, but also really like Lan Wangji. And like to call both of them his daddy, and then at one point he called Lan Wangji his daddy and Wei Wuxian his mommy. I'm not gonna go into explanation. That's just the thing that happens. Anyways, one of the secrets is it is heavily insinuated. I don't know if Wei Wuxian asked him to do it or if he just did it. But when the attack happened against everybody, and they all died, Lan Wangji found the kid and went, "This is my kid now," and essentially raised him. And he is more part of the clan officially. And raised him as his own. And now he's like a teenager. It's been a decade, because he's been dead. So, like, that was, like, a whole thing. So I didn't expect anything serious to happen, and then he got him drunk, and his whole thing was to ask him how he actually thinks about, the gay insinuations between them. And then, I don't know how to explain this. Lan Wangji really went, I need to, steal a bunch of chickens to act out, because he never got to act out when he was younger, and so because of that, he's covered in feathers and dirt and whatnot, and so he makes Wei Wuxian give him a bath, and then, you know when you're just giving your bro a bath, and then you end up in his lap making out with him, and then you do more, and then, your bro suddenly sobers up, and he's like, oh my god. Because he usually has no memory of what he did when he was really drunk, so he wakes up and he has no memory, he just sees them in bed naked together, and he goes, oh my god. And that's how the book ends. The shock. I was Pikachu chalk face the whole entire time. They started making it out. I went, oh my god. And they kept going. I was like, oh my god. And that was like the last 25 pages of the book was essentially that and then the aftermath of that. And now, not only do they have to figure out what's actually going on, try to save Lan Wangxi's brother, because that's like a thing. He's in danger. Right? So save his brother. Figure out if whoever everyone is assuming is the new big bad evil is actually big bad evil, because it's kind of suspicious how some of these things are convenient, right? And then figure out what's going on with this weird temple that guy built in the middle of this city. And also on top of that, have to deal with the fact that they gotta have a conversation about it. They're not having it. He keeps on saying sorry to him, and Lan Wangxi's like, don't say sorry to me. I think what's happening is Lan Wangxi assumes that Wei Wuxian is like, yeah, this is like an everyday thing. You shouldn't feel bad about this. Bro just do stuff like this sometimes. And so he assumes that Wei Wuxian just a whore. Fucking everybody. And was also drunk. But he was nowhere near that level of drunk, and he thinks that he took advantage of Lan Wangxi. And so he's saying sorry for that. But Lan Wangxi thinks he's apologizing. In general, so now they have to have a conversation about it. Also, their pet demon, I don't want to explain that. They have a pet demon, don't ask about it. Their pet demon knows that this happened. It's just like he notices all the hickeys and bite marks and whatnot on Wei Wuxian afterwards. He's like, I saw nothing. Anyways, but good book. Clearly, 4 stars. I don't know if I told you what I rated the other ones. I probably told you what I rated the third one, which was 4.5. First and second were both 3.5s. Because it took so much more for me to get into this one, it is not the same level as the third one, but it's pretty close. And I am very excited for book 5. I am eating this up. The end. I have many other books to pick for the next one, because I then realized there's a bunch of books that I planned to or had suspended on Libby that fit this video. I went, oh, yeah, that. I should like read the next book in the Trials of Apollo series, or read this second book in a duology that I read the first book like 3 years ago. And it's part of my 26 and 2026. We don't need to talk about it. I also could just like read one of the many novellas. I could just read Murderbot for the rest of this. I wanted to do that actually. I don't know what the next book will be. I don't know when I will read it, but I know it's gonna happen at some point. There's a good possibility it'll be Murderbot. I'm gonna say it now. I'm really obsessed with Murderbot. That's the other series I'm really obsessed with right now. But until then, I'm gonna go. I gotta keep an eye on Demon. She came in here with me. She laying on the floor. She's being really cute. I gotta keep an eye on her. Book done, finally. I liked it. The end. Until later. Hello, hi. Oh god, too many drinks in frame. Hi. It's been a couple days. I've read another book. I did it yesterday. Listen, I love the weather has been shit. Also, it's early morning. I just made my coffee. I haven't even taken a sip yet. That's why coffee. In frame. Enjoy my Doctor Who mug. All my other big mugs are in the dishwasher. This is the issue of being a one-person household. I only have 2 or 3 giant mugs. And I only run the dishwasher like once or twice a week, depending. How I am, how I feel, how much homemade cooking I do. Hi, Bobby. Anyways, it's been a bit. Benefit of the weather. If you know anything about where I live, this next sentence is gonna be like, huh? Tornado warning yesterday. So it's cloudy and rainy and gross out. So I get to wear a hoodie, which is great, because part of the reason why I didn't update you yesterday is because I felt like shit. And part of that is because the allergies is making my eyes swell up again. But you can't tell that with this hood. Hell yeah, so I can update. I do have to read another book for this today, also because that one is due in like 19 hours. We're not talking about it. We are talking about the 3rd Murderbot book, which I think the official books, there's 8, I know there's like some prequel short stories and whatnot, and I do own one of those and all this stuff. But I'm kind of like speed reading these accidentally. So that's fun. Also, I did seriously contemplate start watching the show. Is that on? I feel like that's on Apple TV. It's labeled as a comedy series. That's accurate. It is Apple TV. Okay, here's the funny thing: the TV in that room that's currently unplugged does have Apple TV from somebody else's account, so I can 100% watch it. Hell yeah, let's go. One of these days I'll turn the TV back on and I'll watch it. Anyways, Murderbot, third one, Rogue Protocol, not Patrol, Rogue Protocol. Okay, I label this as a queer series. It's not labeled as queer on Storycraft, at least, I think the first one was. Let me check that. I'm pretty sure it was. Oh, it wasn't. I do, because Murderbot, that is their chosen name, so I will call them Murderbot. Even though they do go by Rin at one point, and then Sec Unit as a different name. They are given an option by another bot, and they choose Sec Unit, which is what they are. Security unit. They are a security robot. But in their head, they call themselves Murderbot, hence why it's called the Murderbot Diaries. They use they and them pronouns for themselves, right? And so, like, there's a whole thing in the second one where when applying to a job for putting down pronouns, they used sci-fi version, futuristic sci-fi version of they, them, right? And so I'm counting as queer and nobody can fucking stop me. Also, like, everybody is fruity. It's future sci-fi. Like, every last one, there was a family of like 8 parents and 4 children or something like that. Like, and there was other characters with they, them pronouns, right? So I'm counting as queer and nobody can stop me. Murderbot. I love Murderbot. Murderbot is the best. Okay, the books follow Murderbot, who, an instant previously, the programming in the Sec Unit's head that, like, control, make it so they don't go crazy and kill a bunch of people. Because, again, they are robots with guns. I picture it as, the big giant metal versions of the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica, because they have the weapons in the arms that come out, and so I picture it like that, right? And so, like, as you can imagine, also they're like really difficult to kill because that's like kind of their job, right? So, there of course is going to be programming to like make it so like they can't go rogue. But somehow that broke on one of their previous jobs, and they ended up killing like a bunch of people, and they just like factory reset him, basically. They just essentially factory reset them, because money. And then they were on a job. Humans figured out that they hacked into their own programming to turn that off so that they control it themselves, because they don't trust the programming. Valid, because it already fucked up once, right? And so then Bella chewing on her toy behind me this whole time is very funny to me. And so the first one, they help out the humans. They get a bond. The humans technically buy them and whatnot. Because of stuff that happened in the first book, there is a bunch of investigation stuff going on into what happened in the first book. And because of that, they need the Sec Unit. They need Murderbot. But Murderbot escaped. Murderbot just got up and left at the end of the first book. So now nobody knows where Murderbot is, and knows that Murderbot is a free agent Sec Unit, which means could be killing people. Instead, you know what Murderbot has been doing the next 2 books in the series? Murderbot has just been helping out humans that are being hunted down by other big agencies. The second one was like a bunch of like 20-year-olds whose programming was stolen by a big company and were using a, hey, we'll give it back to you ploy to like assassinate them essentially. And Murderbot was hired to protect them. This one is the original company that caused issues in the first one against the humans they really like. Murderbot has found possible evidence, or there's a location of them doing other illegal shit. So they're like, I'll just get the data and send it to my human that I really like, right? To help with that court case, right? Murderbot, you're not questioning how the humans may be like, bitch, how the fuck did you get this? But, you know, okay. So Murderbot goes there. There is another company who essentially bought the rights to the area to try to actually fix and use it for its proper use, right? Except the company doesn't want people to be there and learn what they were doing, and on top of that, if they don't fix it up, then it will automatically destroy itself. So they send 2 humans and to kill all these other humans, but also there's a bunch of very dangerous robots there to kill them, and so Murderbot's trying to protect them all, and there's all this stuff, and then at the end, Murderbot goes, hey, I got all this data about this company literally trying to assassinate people, like has evidence of it, right? And goes, all right, instead of sending the data directly to this human I really like, I'm gonna go back to the humans. And that's how it ends. Good time, 4 stars. I've rated the second one 4 stars, first one 4.5. I really love the first one. The first one's really good. This one was interesting. The first one was Murderbot versus other sec units that were being controlled by bad humans. The second one was about was Murderbot versus humans, essentially, right? Like, they're just evil humans. They think that they think that Murderbot's just an augmented human, all this stuff. Third one is Murderbot versus 2 evil humans, but also, more importantly, a bunch of, like, super powerful, like, they have, like, they're described as, like, spider-esque, and they have, like, guns in multiple areas. Like, they have, like, guns all across their chest, and yeah, they're like attack robots that are very dangerous, and there's a bunch of them and whatnot, versus Murderbot. So yeah, that was what the Murderbot was versus this time. It was interesting in theory, right? Because like I did like most of the time, the first one, it was dangerous because there was more of them versus him, just one him, right? In the second one, it was pretty understandable that Murderbot was going to win because it's just humans and other augmented humans, right? And then this one, it's like very dangerous for Murderbot. Like Murderbot almost dies multiple times, right? And so it's like it's upping the stakes and all this stuff, and I could see that. And it was interesting in the moment, but after the fact, I was like, okay. I was more interested in the very ending when Murderbot went, I'm gonna go back to the doctor lady whose name I feel like I know, but I'm pretty sure I don't know, and I don't want to say it and be wrong. Anyways, 4 stars. I'm gonna go read the Katie Robert and walk my dog, who really needs to chew this bone. This whole time, 10 minutes. She's going strong. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I don't want to turn on the light. I have a bit of a migraine. We're doing it. Also, I don't know if I like this sweater. I don't know if I like it. Anyways, I read Sweet Obsession, which is the 8th book of Dark Olympus. We're getting to the end. The 10th one just came out, which is the last one. So, we're getting to the end. The fact that I was very behind, and then I'm already catching up. Thoughts? Opinions. It's fine. Okay, here's the thing. The overarching plot that is the coup and the political stuff and all that fun stuff, throughout the series has not been my favorite. I don't care. And the next one is probably going to be the only one I care about when it has that stuff, because it is Zeus and Hera. And I am excited for that. But also, like, I don't know how I'm supposed to care, because at the end of this book, they go their separate ways. I'll talk about it in a minute, but they go their separate ways with a promise that, like, Poseidon will find him, and they'll be together after the whole war is over. And then he takes 3 months to train his, I think technically cousin, to be the new Poseidon, and then he'll show up, and then it goes to 4.5 months later, and he shows up, which means, I mean, I assume that the war ends. Also, I know the last one is the one who is the other side of the war, Cersei. So, yeah. I didn't have much motivation about the overarching plot already, and then that just kind of just, like, took the wind out of my sails. There we go. Hilarious metaphor, I guess, technically, based off of the fact that it's what the hell book did my Kindle just open? Oh, a slasher book. Honestly, I may pick it up. I'm in a slasher mood right now. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, my metaphor was hilarious, being as this is the Poseidon one. Poseidon and Icarus, which feels a little weird, because Icarus died from getting too close to the sun and then falls into the ocean and drowns. But sure, okay. There's, like, a lot of background lore, especially in the previous book. His previous book was his sister and the Minotaur. His sister is Ariadne, so, like, also that's a whole thing. They weren't actually siblings, right? I know this stuff. But essentially, to help her get away, he ends up slightly taking Poseidon captive and then throwing him into the ocean. And so now he is Poseidon's captive, and they're trying to get information from Icarus to fight Cersei. Is essentially the whole plot. The whole plot is he's Poseidon's captive, except there's also Poseidon has a little bit of a thing for him, and Icarus's whole thing of survival has been seducing people to get blackmail. Iconic, love that. And so he starts seducing Poseidon as, like, hey, if, like, he's a good guy at heart, all this stuff. If he falls in love with me, cough, cough, or at least I seduce him, he'll want my safety, and that's my best way of survival, right? And so he starts that seduction plan, but it quickly gets out of hand. Also, how Poseidon is the submissive in the relationship. That's how we say that. That was fun, I guess. Also, the relationship wasn't my favorite in the series. I wouldn't also say that. Anyways, he was fine, I guess. My favorite part is, I'm not gonna be able to name, like, actually pronounce. There's a video many years ago when I read the 3rd book, I believe, that is the, Achilles, Patroclus, and Ares one, but Ares is also Hera. I should mention that. But the whole time I couldn't pronounce Patroclus. I still can't. Okay. The one part that I really liked in this, I can't pronounce his name either. It's gonna be even worse. But I do know him as a famous Cyclops. I'm pretty sure he's the one that Odysseus takes the eye out of, but I'm not 100% sure. And he's kind of a thing in the book. He tortures Icarus at one point. His whole thing is that he only has one eye. He's wearing an eye patch the whole time. That made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, that made me laugh. Like, it's this whole dramatic scene. He's torturing Icarus, partially out of information, but mostly to get revenge, because Icarus's father, the attacks that he did caused the death of this guy's sister. So he's like, revenge, because I can't get revenge on your father, because, you know, he dead, bitch. So, and it just made me laugh, because he has an eye patch. Anyways, I like that Medusa came in at the end, because that's, like, a reference to a prequel novella that I did read last year, I believe, end of last year. So I do like that I, one, already read that prequel novella, and two, that she came in, because there's like a whole coup, and a bunch of them came up, including Hades, and she turned to Hades' side. So the fact that she comes up and helps out. Also it feels very much, the end fight coup stuff was like very much like it could have ended there, but there's 2 more books in the series, and so it didn't end there. That's my main issue, honestly. I'm just bored with that stuff. Like, it could have just been the Hera and Zeus stuff post everything, but now there's gonna also have to still deal with the whole entire war stuff, and I don't care about the war stuff. Like, their dynamic already was interesting, and then their dynamic changed with stuff that happened in this book will also be interesting, but I also don't like anything that she's done that had to do with this war, so it's just gonna annoy me. Anyways, I gotta charge my Kindle. I'm gonna go watch a Sasha TV show. That's my reward for finishing this book this morning. The end. Goodbye. 3 stars. I'll pick up another book at some point. I do have so many downloaded on my Kindle. I just haven't been picking up anything. I'm in a slump. Don't talk to me. Hello, hi, fast update, because my groceries are supposed to get here at any point. Hi, Bella. I have my Kindle up so that I know what book. The Brides of High Hill, which is the 5th out of 8 books of the Singing Hill cycle. The series follows a cleric, this specific group of clerics. I don't know what a group of clerics is called. Temple? I don't know. They use they, them pronouns. They're genderless, and their whole thing is storytelling, and they pour into stories, right? So the whole series is this specific cleric, Chi, I believe, wandering around, listening to stories, listening to stories, and experiencing, interesting things. This one, follows, essentially, I thought a few things were a little weird when it started. One of them was how it starts. Because usually we see how the adventure or how they meet these people that starts this experience happens. But this one, they wake up in the cart, traveling to this area, and like they're already ingrained with the people, especially this young woman who is about to be married off to this really rich guy. They met on, like, the stories, they met on the side of the road, right? Helping her pick up her books that she dropped, and now and she's all like, I want a cleric there to help out, because, you know, she's being married off to some rich older guy who's like in his 40s. He's like has an adult son, right? And so and like she's being married off because her family needs the money, is all this stuff. And so she's all like, no, like a cleric will be helpful, blah blah blah. The other thing that I noticed that was a little weird is that this young bride to be is a little touchy-feely with the cleric. There's a bunch of stuff of like grabbing the cleric's hand and putting it to her chest, and all this stuff, and like clearly flirting with them. And they're definitely infatuated. And then like the first dinner they get there, the adult son breaks in. He's described as crazy. Essentially they curse him so he can't talk about the secrets he knows. And so he shows up, and she talks him down really easily, and also flirts with him a lot. Right, so all this stuff is happening. And this whole time, you, me, the reader, we expect our normal young, naive girl, slightly naive, being married off to a much older man with all the money and power. And he's got a lot of suspiciously gone wives. Right? And because the son can't talk, he instead shows them the head of one of the wives that is supposed to be in this other area, and all this stuff. So it's this whole dramatic thing. She like screams when she sees it, you know, all this stuff. So it's like clear that like it's supposed to be this whole thing where she is sold into this abusive marriage, blah blah blah. Except the last like 3 chapters, which is like maybe 30 pages of the book total, it flips on its head. Because her and her family actually the monsters. The guards show up to take her to her soon-to-be husband room in the middle of the night. You can guess where that's going, right? Except no, her family is a family of fox spirits. And this was originally their home, and they tricked her family and kicked them out. And she took the body of a beautiful young woman to seduce essentially everybody. Seduced the older lord guy, and then killed him. The way it was described, let's just say, he was doing his thing, and that's when he realized what she really was, and apparently he screamed. Anyways, so like, got him to like invite her into his house, right? And then seduces the son so that she can control him to kill everybody. Because the whole thing is like everybody knows that this is happening, but they're pretending it's not happening, right? And so now she is the monster killing the monster type situation. And they're seducing Chi because they just wanted a friend. She just wanted a friend. And she was there and nice. There's this whole thing where when she wakes up, like when the book starts and she wakes up inside the caravan, right? It's like they were drugged or something. That's why all of it was really weird, and that's why she kept on flirting with them and like everybody, and seducing everybody, and it kind of worked, and I kind of liked it. Most of the book, I was like, okay, this is like a story I've read before, blah blah, or heard before, blah blah blah. Fine. A good 3.5 stars. And the last 3 chapters happens, and it goes chaotic. And I say 4 stars. We love that the foxes got their home back. I'm just saying. Did everybody deserve to be eaten? No. But did all these people turn a blind eye to this man continuously taking young, beautiful women in need, abusing them sexually and physically? Like she has like bruises from the night, right? And her feet are bleeding, right? And then beheading them. Oh yeah, that was like a whole other thing when I think I brought up that when they see the head of the one of the wives, she screams. Near the end, you learn she screamed because the fox skin that she was wrapped in, right, was actually her like grandmother or something. So she was not screaming at this dead woman's head. She was screaming at the skin of her grandmother or some descendant of hers, being dead and her skin being used to wrap somebody's head in. Yeah, I get that. That's a rightful reason to scream. Anyways, also like how she would have Chi do all this stuff, like take herbs off of doors and all this stuff because she didn't like the smell of them, right? And then the Lord's son is all like, they don't have a smell, and all this stuff is because she couldn't touch them, and they were there to repel her. That's why. You know what? It was well written. And the last 3 chapters really got me. 4 stars. I'm gonna go. I do have a plan to read another book for this, at least one more, but we'll see because it is Wednesday now. And I have a lot of stuff to do in the next week. And there's a cute dog on the ground. I'm gonna go. Goodbye. 4 stars. This series is good. The end. Hello, hi. Maybe the poor lighting in this angle will cover up that the eye swollen again. We're ignoring it. We love allergies. This is what happens when you have a grass allergy and live on a hay farm. I recommend. I finished the last book today. It is now past noon on the day this video was supposed to go up. I last night when, you know what, it's gonna go up July 1st. Because just that's just the way the cookie crumbled. I'm not going to be reading anymore for it, despite the fact that I have like 3 extra days, because I have only read 2 books this month that weren't for videos. So I gotta like do that in the next 3 days. Even though there's multiple books I could be reading for this downloaded on my Kindle. So, you know, good times. This is Lay, and gonna talk about the 3rd book in the Trials of Apollo series. The Burning Maze. There we go. The way I actually got it. I have thoughts and opinions. Okay, here's my thing. I am pretty sure I've recorded my reactions to the 1st and 2nd books in this series, and I'm pretty sure in the 1st one, I made a complaint that I don't like Apollo's character. The way he is, right, is not a point of view I enjoy reading from, right? And I understood that was just a me thing, but also I recognized there was some character growth going on, and like, I'm pretty sure I rated the 1st book 4 stars and the 2nd one 3.5 stars. And the reason why the 1st one I really liked, in comparison, because I rated this one 3 stars, we'll get to it, is because, one, the person who could write a character-based book, mostly, and I enjoy it, is Rick Riordan. Like, there's a bunch of plot stuff, right? Like, this is a post-Heroes of Olympus, in which, Zeus blamed Apollo, and so removes his immortality and sends him as a human to Earth, and his master is like a 12-year-old demigod who is the daughter of Demeter, and her abusive stepfather is one of the bad guys, and they gotta free the Oracle, because the Oracle has been taken control by the bad guys, so they gotta free her, and then maybe assumably Apollo will get his immortality back, right? And essentially, the whole series is Apollo's journey of character growth to not be a narcissistic god, that we all know, right? And because I have some humanity, for lack of better words, right? So that's essentially the whole series, was happening throughout the series. And the 1st book, I clocked that, I liked it. Around this point, I've realized, like, this one, I understand the things that happened that made it so it happened even more, his character growth, but, like, also, it just feels very stagnant, just a slow incline of betterness, because it's gotta happen throughout 5 books. It's not like he's gonna, like, I can handle this for 1 book. After 1 book, I was mad. And the 2nd one I liked because I had Leo. Listen, my favorite part of this book was the last chapter when Leo just randomly shows up on Festus. And I was like, yes, my boys. Maybe we'll see Nico next. Also, I think book 2 had Nico. I'm pretty sure book 2 had Nico, if I'm correct. I love Nico and Leo. Those are my favorite. Those are my children. Nobody talk to me. They are going to the Roman camp in the next one. So maybe there's gonna be Hazel, Frank, and Raina. Anyways, so yeah, that is kind of my partial issue. They jump-started a lot of character growth in this one with a main character death. I'm not gonna say who. Here's the thing. Here's my issue with the character death. And, I clock that it could be really impactful. I thought it was very underwhelming, and then, like, literally, like, 3 pages later, Apollo was talking about how that just be how it is, with heroes, and the person sacrificed themselves to save the rest of them, all this stuff, right? And I saw what Rick was doing there. I trust Uncle Rick. I saw what he was doing. I could connect the dots. I could see how Apollo's character growth was happening, experiencing multiple. There's also, like, another minor character death, right, later on. And so Apollo witnessing all this death and all this stuff, and how grieving these people that he's kind of just met. Like, he's not really close to these people, but grieving them, and then also watching their loved ones grieve them, makes them realize the importance of humanity and mortality, and blah, 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 right? But he's also making, I don't like Apollo's certain brand of humor, which feels weird because it feels slightly similar to Leo's, but something about Leo, I think because Leo's is more self-deprecating in a way, tongue-in-cheek self-deprecating. I think I like Leo's more. That's why I like Leo's more. Anyways, my issue with the character death is that I was spoiled by this. Like, I was gonna say 10 years ago. That's not right because this book came out in 2018, but pretty close. Yeah, I think about, I want to say a year, after this came out, around 2019, 2020. It would have been 2020, actually. I know exactly because I decided, hey, I think that was the second time I read the first Heroes of Olympus book. Because I was like, I own all of them, I'm gonna actually read them, right? I'm stuck at home, might as well. And I got spoiled for the character death that happens in this book. And so, yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I stopped reading it, and then I had to do it all again. And then finally finished the series a couple of years ago. And also, why I kept on putting off picking up this book. I haven't talked about the gayness in this book. It's gay. Apollo is the most pansexual to ever pansexual. Also, I got spoiled of another character's queerness, which is Piper. Her queerness. That one, I went, okay. Like, I don't mind that spoiler because reading this book, knowing that, I could see the hints being dropped. And I could see what Rick was doing there. I was like, okay. Like, if I didn't know, I would just be like, that's a little weird. But, like, me knowing, I'm like, I see what you're doing. Okay, I see what you're doing, Rick. Anyways, I got spoiled for the character death in this book, so I kept on pushing off this book. Also, I pushed off the previous series for the longest time, right? And also, one, it didn't impact me because I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. There's also, like, a whole point where the character knew that there was a possibility they were gonna die or somebody else. And I went, I know it's gonna be this bitch. It's not, like, there's, like, a fake-out death for the other character. And I went, I know that character's not dead. I know it's gonna be the other one. Like, I don't, yeah. Also, I am 98% sure. As I was reading the character death section, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is why, they were my least favorite character in the Heroes of Olympus series. Because I knew they were going to die, so I did not, I had no motivation to like them, because I knew their end was going to come soon. Soon-ish, right? Like, right after Heroes of Olympus, they're going to die. What's the point of me, like, rooting for their relationship, and their relationship with their siblings, and all this stuff, right? Because I know this, so I kept myself at an arm's distance, and, I would like to know if this was shortly after my father's death. That explains a lot. And so I think that's why I didn't like their character in that series, or didn't connect to their characters in that series. And also why I didn't connect to this specific book. One, partially because Apollo's not my favorite character to read from. Two, because of that. So 3 stars. Yeah, I do own the 4th one, so maybe I'll read it soon. It's like on my bookshelf. I went upstairs. I was like, which one do I own? I went upstairs and grabbed it. So, you know, good times. I don't know what else to tell you. It was a book I read. A lot of stuff happens, but, like, it's just more adventure-y, required and type stuff, right? Right. It's mostly character stuff is the stuff that's important. And usually I like Rick's character stuff, but Apollo doesn't do it for me, and I'm gonna miss a Leo. I love Leo. Where's my Leo? Anyways, 3 stars. Moving on with my life. I think I read 5 books in this. That's great for me. Slow blink. Anyways, I'm gonna go. End of video stuff. Saturdays are back to videos like this one, except this one's going up on a Saturday. I know the Saturday, post this, is going to be my end of month wrap up of books I read that wasn't in videos. If I have some, other than the 2 I've read so far. Don't look at me. I'm in a slump. I really thought Pride Month was going to take me out of the slump, and it didn't. There are so many queer books I want to read, and I just didn't pick up most of them, because I was just like, but what's the point? I'm doing great. So, you know, good times. Wednesdays typically, not this Wednesday, clearly, are edited down gaming streams from Twitch. I stream on Twitch pretty regularly. I say that I think I streamed like twice all of June. That's a lie. All my gaming videos that I were from June I just filmed them. I didn't stream any in June, I'm pretty sure. That's fine. So, you know, I say that, but I don't have a schedule. So, you know, if you just give a follow and then turn notifications on, you'll know. You'll know when I go live. I do reading, I do gaming. Wednesday's slightly edited down versions of the gaming, right? The end, goodbye. All the links below. I've been posting more on Instagram about favorite books and whatnot. So, you know, good times. At the end, I'm gonna go read another book that could totally gone into this video, and I ran out of time because somebody didn't want to read at all this whole month. Goodbye.